On to number 10. Here's an equation for a parabola. It's in standard form. The axis of symmetry is -2. Determine the vertex of the parabola, okay? Well, an axis of symmetry is always a line, but a vertex I know is a point x comma y, okay? And I know that if this was my parabola, it's got an axis of symmetry here at 2, and I don't really know what the parabola does, but I'm going to say it kind of looks like that, okay? Fact is, it's got an axis of symmetry at 2. Well, that axis of symmetry at x equals 2 tells me something about that vertex. And in fact, it tells me the x value of that vertex. So my vertex's x value is 2. What I need now is the y value. And this is pretty simple if you remember this little bit about what the axis of symmetry and the vertex have in common. Because now we've got an equation, but we know what x equals. Well, f of x is the same thing as just saying y. So we can take this x value and plug it in. So we have y equals, this would be a 2 squared minus 4 times 2 minus 5. And guys, look, for some of you that are on this or on it or past that higher order thinking or higher order equations on Carnegie, you had to do this already. You have to take the parentheses and plug in a value. This value is 2. Okay? Well, that's just going to be 4 minus 8 minus 5, which means y equals -9. And that's the other piece of our puzzle. Therefore, our vertex is 2, -9. Oops. Okay? Now, notice on this problem, show your work. If you literally write on your paper 2, -9, and then you read that and go, oh, and then you write down, did it in the calculator. That's not what I'm asking for. This is the kind of thing that they are absolutely should put on the non-calculator section. 2 reasons. 1, you can do it without a calculator. And 2, it's the type of problem that's going to make a kid think, oh gosh, how the heck am I supposed to find this vertex? Like, I don't have my calculator that will let me use it. This must be a mistake. No, you can find that vertex because if you know what the axis of symmetry has in common with the vertex, it has in common this x value, which means finding the y is not that difficult. Okay? It's a great non-calculator problem. Great non-calculator problem. Number 11. Compare the graphs of the following functions to f of x, meaning this is our start. This is our parent graph here. Describe the transformations of each. Okay? Well, this first one, it started out as f of x and now has a 1/2 out front. That's where we had that dilation. Okay? But we have to be a little bit more specific. Remember, fractions mean we shrink. It compresses our graph, okay? Large whole numbers are what stretch it up in the air. So this fraction means you need to tell me that it shrinks by a factor of 1/2. Notice all the information given there. Shrinks and the factor. If you just tell me it shrinks, I don't know how much it shrinks. That's not a very good description. You need to tell me that it shrinks and how much it shrinks by. Okay? Same thing with B. B, we have a number popping up outside the parentheses on the very back end. Okay? That means it went up or down. Then you use the actual sign of the number to determine. It went down, because it's -5. So you just need to say it went down 5. Okay? Translated down 5 units. So maybe down 5 units. Probably the best way to put that. C, again, we had a number pop up out back, but also we had a number come up in the parentheses. And in the parentheses, just like we've seen with the zeros and the vertex, that's always opposite land. Remember, we started calling it opposite land. So it was -2 in the parentheses, meaning it's now +2. I'm sorry, not +2. It's -2 in parentheses, means we have to think of it in the opposite. -2 in the parentheses, you'd think it would mean left 2, but it doesn't. It's opposite land in there. So therefore, the -2 showing up in the parentheses means we went right 2 units. But the +1 out back does make sense. It means we also went up 1 unit. So I said that a little bit confusingly. I apologize for that. The number popping up in the parentheses means left or right. And it's opposite land in there. So the -2, most people think, oh, negative means left, but it's opposite land in there. That -2 popping up means we went right 2. But we're back out of opposite land into the real world here with the number in the back. +1 means up 1. Okay, it's a little bit tricky. D, this is a negative sign appearing in front of the entire equation. Okay, in front of it. Therefore, it means we are reflecting about the x-axis or across the x-axis, around the x-axis, really around a vertical or a horizontal line. Okay, so shrinks because it was a fraction, down 5, right 2, up 1, and then reflect. Number 12 is a challenging problem, or about as challenging as we can really make these. Okay. This starts out as just f of x equals x squared. And then it's -3x squared. So two little things got a little bit confusing there. Not only did a 3 pop up out front, but a -3 popped up out front. And this is where a lot of people are going to get this problem wrong. Okay, they're going to get the fact that that 3 stretches it, and that's good. But what they're going to tell me is it's stretched by a factor of -3. And that's not correct. That negative sign has nothing to do with the stretching. Okay? That 3 is where we stretch. So we are stretched by a factor of 3. That negative sign, however, is something completely different. And we just saw it over on the previous problem. Okay? That negative sign means we're stretched by a factor of 3 and reflected. Okay? Stretched by a factor of 3 and we're reflected. Number 13 looks very similar to what you'll see on an EOC, except for it'll be a multiple choice problem. Most likely, it might be a fill in the type in the blank option. Okay? Here we are. We're starting out with this equation. Okay? Then we added 16, or we subtracted 16 from both sides. Really, this should have been a y out here. I'll probably change that for the test tomorrow, for those of you listening. So we subtract 16 from both sides, giving it over here. Now we've got to figure out what do we add into these blanks to complete the square. Well, you have to know that on this left side, we're looking for -b, or -6, over 2 quantity squared. Well, that's -3 quantity squared, which is 9. So I know that that 9 goes in the blank. But I have to balance my weights, okay? I don't want one arm being way stronger than the other. I've got to balance my weights over here. This isn't really a 9. This is 2 9-pound weights, which aren't really a thing. But you have to account for that and balance out on the other side. So your answer for this one should be 9 and 18. That's what you're going to add to both sides. Okay? 9 and 18.